welcome to another episode of Tiff Talks Tech. Today, we're doing a little bit of a detour from what I would normally talk about, which is technology. But today, I'm excited to dive into more of the human side. I'm joined by Leslie Greenwood, who's the founder of Wednesday Women. And we're going to be talking about building the rooms that high achieving women actually want to be in. So I'm excited to dive into this. Before we do, Leslie, can you share a little bit about you and kind of how Wednesday Women came to be?
Sure, happy to. Let's see. I am an accidental early stage startup employee back from 2014 when since this is about tech, so people can appreciate this. My first tech startup, when I started, I did not know how to make a bookmark on Chrome. So accidental tech worker, I guess you would say. Did that for a while. And Wednesday Women was born out of a simple idea, which was who are the women CEOs that I should know because my feed is desolate? So I had made that post on LinkedIn. The post kind of blew up. I put those women's names and titles on a Google sheet, and then I would see more posts. You know how like when you buy a white car, you see all these white cars coming around? And so I would continue to do that. And then eventually I just dropped the Google sheet around because I'm like, well, if you want to meet more, why not meet all 50 of them? I've already curated for you. And I eventually met my co-founder, and we didn't start a business. We just started a passion project and posting one woman a week on Wednesday, shockingly. And it caught fire. And because I think the thing was that we would offer to highlight and give more visibility to women without asking more of their time or asking their money, which I just got one the other day. For only $1,500, I can be in a really obscure magazine that no one but me will read. But then they sent me another email saying they would give me a discount to $1,400. I was
Wow.
not super interested.
No, totally. And I feel like a lot of times, like networking, it can be this scary thing. I know it is for me. As someone who's introverted, and I've been to a few of your events, and you just make it so natural and not scary. Sort
Yeah,
of.
I'm like, wait, I'm also an introvert, but you would never guess it.
Yeah.
I'm totally an introvert when you think about the true definition of where do you get energy. I need to go be by myself. I'll host one of those dinners that you've come to, and I'll go into my bed in my pajamas and not get out for a day
Yeah.
because I need to recharge. Yeah.
No, that is me. And like the idea of walking into a room full of strangers scares the life out of me. But you guys have done it so effortlessly. What do you think a lot of these networking events are getting wrong that you guys do differently?
I think it's the way you're describing it reminds me of how I would feel when I go into a networking event sometimes. You walk in, and if you don't know anyone or you don't have an anchor or you're not looking for someone, you kind of walk in and I'm like, and then you like go like this. And then you go in a corner because you don't know anybody. And, sometimes depending on how people are standing, there's the croissant and bagel. We can, like bagel, they're not open to letting people in. Croissant, they are. So it's like, like, and if you just don't know those kinds of things and you're introverted and you're feeling a little awkward already. So like there's a simple thing, no one to welcome you at the door. I mean, we welcome everyone, get them their welcome drink, get their name tag, let them put their purse down, and then we go walk them into a conversation. There's never a moment, unless you sneak in when both me and Melissa are busy or it's just me on my own, that you walk in and you're like, what do I do? Like I should be there to welcome you and really hold your hand until you're entrenched into a conversation. Then I'm going to dip right out and go welcome somebody else because then you're all adults. I've already said hello, meet some new friends, and it just takes all the awkwardness out of it. So I guess that's the first easy thing in a smaller type of event.
Yeah, because a lot of times it can feel like everybody already knows each other, even though they might not. But sometimes that's the impression that you get walking into a room like that.
I didn't know, like the last dinner you were at, I knew 3 people.
Hmm.
I walked in not knowing anybody, and it was my event.
Yeah.
But, so if you came in, and I think people do feel that way. They feel like, "Oh, they must know all each other." No, I don't think anybody really knew each other except for a couple of people that work together. It's just that's cultivating, like, the feel of the room, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any major reasons that you think that women can be full or be in a room full of other successful women and just feel like they don't belong there?
I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many reasons. I mean, it's really just like, what is the atmosphere? How has the event been prepped? Like we give you all the
Mhm.
LinkedIns of everyone. So like you've had the opportunity to go and maybe even have a conversation. Some people have had calls before they've come to dinner. You would know at least what their faces look like. A lot of times you walk in and you don't know anyone. So like we try to set the stage from even before you walk in the door of what to expect, what to look like. Here are some things you could do to be prepared to meet a whole bunch of strangers
Yeah.
in this space. So I think there's a that prep and intention, even things, even little naming conventions, like, I don't know, like if I walked into something that was called the top XYZ event, I'm going to just be like, I don't know, it'll just walk in and feel competitive and put me in the wrong mindset. I mean, there are so many little psychological bits that go into a really good event that I don't know, sometimes I don't even think about them.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think one of the things that I really want to commend you guys on is like, even though the last event I went to, it was not industry specific to me, but I still got so much out of it in the conversations that were happening, in the stages that were set, and the atmosphere you guys were able to create. So that is something that I really love.
Yeah. It was actually during an HR conference,
Yeah.
so it was mostly, I would say it's probably at least 80% people in the people and talent space, but, that I think maybe that's also one of the premises of Wednesday Women is that it's about the woman behind the title. I mean, we all have we are very similar. I can tell you after talking to hundreds and hundreds of executive women, maybe 1,000 at this point, I don't know, but, like, underneath, it doesn't matter whether you are the CFO of a public company, another C-level of a Fortune 50, or you're someone like me who's never worked at a company more than 250 people and thought it was terrible. Like, we have a lot of the same fears and challenges and experiences. And so when you go past that title part, and that's why even in introductions for us, like, I'm going to start letting people tell what they're like, I'm trying to say the word genre, but that's not it. But like, I do marketing or I do sales without getting into their title. Cause like there's so many people caught in their title as their definition of themselves that they then can't let that corporate mask down to show who they are behind it. So I actually don't even let people introduce themselves with their titles at our events.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it. I know I can get caught in that trap as well. So I think it's so important to do that and make sure that there's a person behind it. What are some other things that you guys do? Like, I know one of the big ones that I really love is your get and your give. Like, how did that come about and what made you guys make that a staple of what you guys do?
Yeah, and it was totally accidental. It was our first dinner. It was January of 24. It was in San Francisco, and we found a sponsor, and they wanted to do a dinner. So we're like, okay, great. They had no women on their leadership team though, because one had just left, but she came, and there were a couple of people that were advisors to the company that were there, and we just kind of made it up. I mean, gives and gets, talking about giving before getting. This is not an uncommon theme in community, but the idea of the getting first really just kind of came to us. And I don't think we really understood the magnitude until after it happened. Because when you do the get first, and we have prepped people, we started to prep people because at first we weren't prepping people and they're like, oh, I'm going to die. But, starting with the get or asking for something big or small that could help you move the needle, it lets that mask come off and shows vulnerability first. Once we can get past that, then you all can connect on such a higher level than you would have had we stayed in I'm Leslie, the VP of sales of a XYZ company, and I've had 3 exits and 142 VP roles. It's like that's now who I am, my persona.
And it's
Can't let that
intimidating.
go. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, it can be. What do you think that women who are looking for that connection are missing in a lot of the spaces they're going into right now?
You know, I think it is that. I mean, what is the word? I was writing a LinkedIn post this morning and it wasn't, I don't know if it was vulnerability or transparency. It was authenticity.
Mhm.
I feel like the whole word authenticity has been bastardized. Everybody's authentic
Yeah.
now. Like the most inauthentic people are the most authentic people
Yeah.
now. AI is very authentic, by the way. But like it's not just the place that's going to curate that, but like, can you be the person who breaks that barrier first? That says maybe something vulnerable when you feel the space is safe for you to do so. So it's like, oh well, let's say it's networking. You ask someone like, "What do you do for fun?" Like, "Oh, you live in Dallas too? Like, what side of town do you hang out on?" Like, just asking that first personal question that gets you beyond that, like, "Hi, I'm Leslie. Let's change business cards." That puts you into this. We talk a lot about know, like, and trust. So, yes, we have to have that moment where we shake hands and say hello because we have to know each other. Like in this case, just really means I don't dislike you and I think you're probably a good human. And then if you can get that far, then you can get to trust. But it's like, if all I know about you is that you've handed me your business card and you sell widgets, I don't even know if I like you at that
Right.
point. and
And it's
that
like, it's
no
not something I might need, or maybe it is, I don't know, but, like, I wanna know about you as a person.
exactly, because that's how in my opinion, that's how a lot of business happens these days, is when you get to that trust position, because I trust to for you to be maybe a service provider for me, or I trust that if I make an introduction or use social capital on you to do that, that you won't burn it for me, and we have to for me, I have to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having that sense of vulnerability, it provides the safety that a lot of women are looking for. How do you find that balance between the vulnerability and the ambition piece?
I think being vulnerable is it just is there's I don't think that's an and or. I
Mm,
could be super ambitious, and then being vulnerable would be just saying, "You know what? Like, I'm in a hyper growth mode right now. I'm doing everything I can to move up." And that means for me, I'm in a book club. I have a mentor because you know what? I feel like maybe there are lots of things I still need to learn. Like that in itself, if you think about it in a business setting or in a tech setting, that could be like admitting you don't know something is a bad thing. And I'm like, I don't know lots of things. And so, I mean, it's a little different. I mean, I'm just born, I mean, what I think comes out of my mouth. And sometimes that is a good thing. And sometimes that is a terrible thing. So like, it's a little bit different because I don't feel that line gets a little blurry for me sometimes. I feel like when women hold back, they stymie themselves a little bit. Like they're not like if you think about if I were in sales, if I control my true self and my passion for what I'm doing and everything, it's a better sale. I don't know. They're just but I don't wanna say it's I'm not saying it's all on the women because there are certainly places where people have made it less than safe for them to share any of that.
yeah. What are some of the things that you think stifle that openness and willingness to be vulnerable?
I mean, let's think about it this way. If I went to my boss in a certain workspace and said, "You know what? I would love to get a mentor." Why? Why do you need a mentor? Or I need training, or I need, like something. It's like, well, you're the VP. You should already know that. So you think about the judgment that could come by saying, "I don't know something." If you have a like closed-minded, person that you reported to, they're like, "Ooh," and then they're like, "Weakness. How do I exploit that?" We've all been in I think everyone in tech has been in a toxic workplace at some point in their life. If you have not, God bless you. You are a very lucky person. But it's like, and maybe we've learned in places we can't trust that we can be open about those things. But imagine if we could. Imagine if we could go to our bosses and say, "I need a mentor because I feel like I'm struggling with forecasting." And they're like, "Oh, sure, of course. Let me do that." And you know what? There's a great course that you could go to as well, and you can do it on Tuesdays during your workday.
Mhm.
How much where you could have been, where you could have advanced to, the confidence then you would have had on the other side instead of the lack of confidence for getting the judgment.
Yeah, totally. What do you recommend for people who might be stuck in that kind of environment? I know a lot of times we talk about like managing up and being able to have those conversations. Is there anything that you recommend for someone that might feel stuck in that?
I think there's so many if, ands, or buts in
I
that place just because, there it could be, it could be managing up. I am particularly bad at that.
know.
I have a book. I have 2 books on it, but I've never read them. It could be managing up. It could be that that person is just never going to change, and they will always be that boss. Not everybody has the ability to go say, "You know what? I'm done with the corporate race, and I'm gonna go build my own thing. I'm gonna stop making other people rich, and I'm gonna go work for myself." A lot of women don't have that opportunity. I'm very thankful I had that opportunity. My husband has corporate insurance, and I had a severance package. So there was really nothing to lose when I first left, my U2 role to go out on my own, but that's not the option that a lot of people, have in life. So it's so many ifs, ands, or buts, but if you can find a place where you can just be like, "Can I be transparent? Like, is this a safe place for me to share something with you?" But then you really have to read the room. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm too scarred that I'm like, "Oh god, I would never tell any of my old bosses any of this stuff because they."
Yeah. Yeah, it would not fly.
Not I.
Yeah, yeah. And for those high achieving women who feel like they need support but don't feel like they can ask for it, are there places that you recommend they look, or like resources that you really push people towards?
Yeah, I mean, it's finding that's where I think I mean, I'm not gonna plug any certain community, but, like, I think that's where community can come into. It's like if you're looking for let's say you're looking for support in, like, a functional role.
Mhm.
There are functional communities that you can go out and learn from. If you are looking for maybe a little bit more, if maybe you need stress relief, then you start going to yoga on Sunday and you build your community through your yoga class. And then you can have some, what do you want to call it? Camaraderie with some other women. What
Yeah.
I do here though is for, high achieving executive women and you can be on any of these spectrums. Your kids are older, your kids are younger, you have no kids
Mhm.
and your friends that you may have grown up with, they're not at the same place. So they
Yeah.
might be doing kids, but they're not doing executive. Or they might be doing executive and have kids and you have no kids. So it's finding a place where you have that balance and then honing in on what the thing is you need right now and whether that's, functional learning, whether that is, connections and support, whether that is expanding your network outside of your company, because, in tech, we will all be let go of our job at some point. And whether we pull the rug or the rug is pulled with us, if we spend all of our time networking inside of our companies, the unfortunate fact is a lot of that network will not come with us and help us in our next, journey.
Yeah, I know that's always a fear of mine for sure. And I think that's something that a lot of women face. I want to switch gears just a little bit, and I'm kind of thinking about how you built your community and the intentionality behind that. How do you protect the quality of that room as you continue to grow?
Well, one, we're growing very slowly on purpose. I mean, our goal is 3 new members a week. We have a one-on-one call with every new member, which means I can't take on 10 new members. Who is gonna talk to all of them
Right.
between myself and my co-founder, So, that and also, I mean, the way we talk online, our LinkedIn brand or our company brand is the way we are in person.
Mm,
The we have 4 very strict guidelines that everyone agrees to when they come in. We reinforce those through rituals, and if someone does break those rules, I mean, I also worked for another large community at one point, and if you solicited, I would fire you.
yeah.
I mean, I would give you if you were a junior, I would give you a second chance if it was a learning moment, but there was someone who was a real jerk to me and said, "Oh, I didn't do that." I'm like, "I have a screenshot."
Yeah.
I just said, "Well, today's your last day, and I'm gonna refund the difference of your membership. Thanks for playing." And those are things that I'm just not gonna play around with. Like, sponsors don't get to come in and do things in the community. People don't get to solicit each other. We've agreed to have mutual introductions. So if I were to reach out to you and we're both members, you have to say yes to have a conversation with me, but you can say, "Not right now. I'm board prepping. Not right now. I'm going on vacation. Not right now. Life is just overwhelming. I can't handle it. I don't have air conditioning." Like
Yeah.
you can say all those things, but
Yeah.
the answer it has to be yes. And those are the things that just have to be repeated as part of the culture.
Yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
mess up. We will absolutely mess up, and we'll get a mishire, in the community, and we'll deal with it when it comes.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the things you guys do such a great job of is amplifying women. What does that look like in practice outside of the online atmosphere?
Speaking spots at conferences, that's one thing. I mean, if you consider podcast guest spots too, that's also something a lot of women have gotten their first ever podcast recording ever. By the way, I have a recommendation for you for another
I
podcast
would
guest.
love that.
Very,
Yeah.
very tech,
Yeah.
and really cool. So podcasts, speaking opportunities, panels, just things that like even if their goal one day is to be a paid speaker, we have to do the first steps first, which is like be on your first podcast, be on a panel, be on an unpaid thing. And then one day maybe you will be Oprah and you'll get, flown around the world.
Right.
But and it just also means the other thing it means, without it being quite so formalized, is just when the members get to the place of this know, like, and trust, other members will say their names in
Yeah.
rooms they're not in.
Yeah.
That's visibility in a very specific I'm sorry, I just gave myself chills about that. But, like, it's visibility in a small structure room, but can be way more valuable than visibility of speaking at a conference or speaking on a podcast.
Yeah, yeah. I think when you can find that and you can find somebody who will speak positively in a room that you're not in, that is one of the most invaluable things that I've been able to find because it doesn't always come around. And so to find that is just super special.
Yep. I think there's a mindset. I mean, there has to be a bit of a mindset because I've definitely met people, not just women, women and men, who have the mindset of like, I am going to just bring everybody up around with me once I know you and I know that you're not gonna if I recommend you, you're not going to like make me look bad. Then they are saying people's names all the time. But then there's some that it just it's like this. What is that? It's like the mindset of abundance and mindset. I don't think it's called lack, but that's what I call it. Like, like there's just not enough to go around, or there's enough to go around with for everyone. Like one example of this is we have two finan two financial planners in our membership. They truly could be competitors. They did a webinar, internal webinar together for us to talk about the financial side of non W-2 leadership. So because it looks different building wealth for yourself when you're working for yourself compared to when your company's putting money in your 401k. And so like they got together to do that. I'm like, now that's a mindset of abundance.
Yeah.
And I loved seeing that. And I think some people have it and some people just don't have it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the markers of true leadership, like being able to amplify other people and shout out other people. I mean, I view those as leaders.
Mhm.
Mm.
Well, and that's one thing when people say like, "Oh, I need to build my public brand, but I don't know what to do," or "I don't want to talk about myself." Like, I don't want to feel like I'm bragging and all this stuff. It's like, well, then don't talk about you. Talk about somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, I would go talk about like, "Hey, I was just on Tiffany's podcast. It was the best podcast. She's such a great host." I'm still now building my brand because I did say I was on a podcast, right? But I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the great host Tiffany,
Mhm.
And so it's like shine the spotlight on somebody else
Right.
and do that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think there's a gap between how we talk about women in leadership and what women are actually experiencing?
That's a hard one for me because I'm having those conversations every day. And so I hear what's happening behind the closed doors and the challenges. And I'd say, I guess, run with a group of women who will be vulnerable and open with me. Maybe, I guess, if you were to look at the general whole and people say, oh, yeah, there's way more women in leadership, things must be great. I guess maybe that. I don't know. It's so hard for me to tell because I hear both the good and the bad and the super ugly. So, I think but that's also for everyone. Like, there's what you see on the outside and there's what's happening on in the inside for almost everybody. But I
Yeah,
think
because we always want to project this beautiful picture of what we're experiencing. Like, we don't want to be out there talking about the negative, but the negative, it can still happen anywhere.
it can still happen and it can hold you back if you don't talk about it. If you can't find a safe space to speak about it and have someone else say, oh, I've been there too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that person to give you the knowing look of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, totally. For any listener who is tuning in and if they don't feel like they don't have that room that they can go to, what do you recommend for their starting point?
I would say think about your goals.
Mhm.
What are the goals for that room? Is it personal? Is it professional? Is it a combination of both? Is it about, does it need have aspects of parenting to it? Does it need to have aspects of being the caregiver in a sandwich generation? Like I'd really think about your goals because people I think join communities without thinking about what their actual goals are in joining a community and even the best communities, and a little biased, but like even the best strategically built communities, you still have to do work.
Yeah.
Value will never just jump out of your computer screen and land on your lap. And so you have to have a clear enough sense of your goals that you know that you're willing to put in the work that it'll take to get the value back.
Yeah. Are there things you think people should avoid?
When choosing a community,
Yeah.
just don't overdo it for yourself. I mean, people get all gung ho and I'm going to join like 85 communities. I'm in 2 paid and 4
Yeah.
free and I'm going to keep up with all of this. And before you know it, you're just skimming the surface of everything and you're not really diving in. Sometimes free is not better. It really, again, it goes back to goals. There could be a perfect community for you because you're looking for like a social aspect and you're a beginning seller and there's some opportunities for that, and there's opportunities for other things. So it's really I don't know, it goes back to your goals, but just don't overcommit yourself. We all tend to do that.
Sure. How can you tell when you've outgrown the space that you've been in?
That's hard. I mean, I guess it goes back to your goals, but I don't know if it's out. I think people may think they've outgrown, but like while they're growing, the community is also growing
Mm.
and changing because the community itself is an amalgamation of its members.
Yeah.
So if everybody is growing and changing, then really it's just almost like a realignment call. And if you have a realignment call with the community manager or the founders and you really aren't in the same place anymore, then you'll know. But I would say don't assume until you've spoken because like sometimes the outgrowing is just I call community like this nebulous gray blob. It is always changing. It is always shape shifting. The moment I think I have it mastered, political climate may change.
Yeah.
The economic climate changes. More people are out of jobs. I need to provide more support on the job search front. I need to provide more support maybe on the non W-2 front. You know what I mean? We may need to have some more like open vent sessions. We may need to have some tactical hands on learning sessions because, of course, everybody needs to learn AI of some sort. So it's like if you're not listening and trying to keep track of it, like it is a very hard thing to master.
Yeah. I want to talk about kind of the impact of finding those right rooms for you. What changes when somebody finds that community? What's the impact?
One of our members, and we use this quote sometimes, is like it's her safety net.
Hmm.
So she knows no matter what, she can come back. And so you built enough of your foundation so that if something happens, even if you stepped out because like you got a new job, and so life's really busy and you're 3 months, we haven't seen you, but something happens, you can fall back.
Yeah.
So I think it can be that. It also can be increased confidence because then you realize that you are not the only one going through what you're going through.
Yeah.
I don't think that's just a woman thing, that's a anybody thing. It's like, "Oh, you dealt with that too? My goodness, who knew?"
Right.
And to hear that, I'm like, "Oh, so it's not me. This is just the way life works, or this is the way the crazy company works, or whatever it is," like, so there's some good in knowing that kind of thing.
Do you think that there are things that people feel comfortable saying in these community spaces that they can't necessarily say in their work environment?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. I mean, that's a big like, in our community, it's like, this is, supposed to be the safe space where the things that you could not say at work or sometimes maybe at home, because it's not just, a work thing because some women are still wearing the mask of perfection at home with their husband, with their kid or their partner and their kids, they're being the soccer mom and the executive and all the things. And so, yeah, there's certainly things. And I want them, wherever that is, to find a space where they can have that if they don't already have that somewhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. What do you want Wednesday women to become over the next few years? How do you see it changing and growing?
That's so hard to say because, like I said, we didn't even know this was going to be a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
We actually didn't it wasn't going to be a community either. Like, we have a whole talk on how to build community without building a community because my
Mhm.
co-founder and I both have been in community, and with that whole nebulous gray blob thing, we're like, "This is so much work." So, it's hard to say. I mean, I feel like what we will do is we will become more mature in our for us, let me say behind the scenes business first. For us, we will become a more mature business with better processes and operating procedures so that my co-founder and I can get into our areas of genius because
Yeah.
founder life is that you do everything.
Everything. Yeah.
I am in Google Sheets. I hate spreadsheets. Like, if I can spend my whole life not in spreadsheets, so it's like, and I think that will roll over into even the member or our partner or our follower experience because there will be more joy.
Yeah.
Because we're spending time in our areas of expertise, our areas of genius, the areas that feed us. So, yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to say because I mean, if you'd asked me this 2 years ago, we are not having a community. We are not
Yeah.
building a community. I don't care. People would DM us and say, "How do I become a member?" And I would say, Congratulations, you've now DM'd us. You're a member."
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
even between the dinner you first came to and your second dinner, how much had changed in our business, and we had a community and things like that. It's like total difference. So,
Yeah. I know the first one I went to, you were like, "This is my side project." And
yeah,
now you're like, "This is my full time." And I
full-time
love
job.
it. I love seeing that growth and that change. I think it's amazing.
Exciting.
Yeah. If you could change one thing about how we approach community for high achieving women, what do you think that would be?
When you say we, do you mean we as potential members, we as a society, we as community builders that might
Think
build more
as a
community?
society.
I think let down the expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, let down that like let
Like you were saying, like we hide so much about behind our titles and our identity. Like I do think that is one of those big areas that we've got to let go of.
Mhm. Yeah, let us breathe. What I mean? Let us give us a moment, give us some grace. Like, we do not have it all together. I'm not gonna speak for all my members. Maybe they all have it together and I just don't have it together. But, like, I will speak for
I
myself.
doubt it.
I don't have it together. You know what I mean? There are days I am on the struggle bus, and I think this is a very common thing for most people, and, I want people to have a place where they can go and be just whatever that is they are that day without feeling or fearing anything about it.
Is there anything that you wish more high achieving women felt permission to say out loud?
I need help.
Yeah.
I need help. Whether it's like, or I don't know this, but I can find out,
Right.
but just and yeah.
I think that's so true without the fear of being chastised for not knowing something. Because I know so many of us, like, we're afraid of that phrase, "I don't know." And yeah, it can be daunting.
Who who really could know all of the things? We can't know all the things that we're required to do, and especially in a day and age like today where there are so many things that are new that have never been seen before. You should have seen what I did with a Google spreadsheet yesterday in Claude. Oh my god. I was like, my mind was blown. I'm like, "No wonder everyone says their new boyfriend is Claude. They have a new French boyfriend."
No, it just, like, shot to another level all of a sudden.
Yeah, so I'm like, if any time of all to say, "I don't know," we really have permission to say, "I don't know," because some of this stuff we have never seen before.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, no, I think this has been a great conversation and really just, like, eye-opening. I do have a question that I ask every single one of my guests, and I would love to ask you too. Is there a tech tool that you are loving in your life right now? And doesn't have to be related to this. I assume Claude is probably one of them.
No, it's I'm a newbie at Claude. There is a tool that I use a lot. We use Sybil for our recording.
Okay.
I record all of my calls because I have menopause brain and I will not remember to do anything. So it creates tasks in HubSpot for me. It puts the notes in HubSpot for me. I can query it and say, based on my last conversations and this last email, what did I not clarify about this deal that I need to clarify in a follow up email so that they're going to get back to me? Like it is like it's truly like my assistant. I would probably die without having somebody behind the scenes, like, trying to make us, like, operationally efficient.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's so helpful. Can you share just where people can find you and connect with you and connect with the Wednesday women?
Yes, of course. I'm on LinkedIn way too much. It now I put a limit on my phone for LinkedIn, and I have violated the limit numerous times now. So LinkedIn, I'm just, the LinkedIn/IN/Leslie dash Greenwood. You can find Wednesday Women on LinkedIn as well. We also have a great newsletter if people want to subscribe to that because we all know the algorithm's a little crazy.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep in track, and we do all the women we feature on Wednesdays come in our monthly newsletter. So if you miss the feature, you can read about them in the newsletter.
I love it. Thank you so much. I think this has been such a great conversation and
Thank you
hope
so
people got
much.
something out of it.
I appreciate you lending me your tech audience, which I do. I am tech adjacent. So
Yes.
to chat today, I really
Yes.
appreciate it.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.